the gambler is in terms of if you want to take it to the plains of the Serengeti, it would be the king of beasts, I guess, or it would be the big bull elephant.
Here are 10 extremely clever gamblers of all time who brought the casinos to their knees. From cracking codes to mastering their craft, they proved that they could conquer any game with a bit of wit and brilliance. Number 10. Ronald Dale Harris. Ronald Dale Harris was a crafty programmer at the Nevada State Gambling. This guy had some serious skills up his sleeve, and he found a way to make a fortune right under the nose of Las Vegas casinos. He had his eyes on the slot machines, and he used his magic to steal thousands without anyone even suspecting a thing. But that was not enough for the gambling whiz. Ronald had bigger plans. He aimed to take on the probability game Keno. So this genius created a program to predict the numbers the RNG or random number generator would pick, and he cracked that code like a pro. After that, Ronald helped his buddy Reed Arrow McNeil get the jackpot, against odds of 1,000,000 to 1. Reed hit a whopping $100,000 at Bally's Park Place Casino Resort, but he didn't get away with that. Reed showed no excitement at such a big win. Plus, he had no ID on him. And on top of that, he demanded hard cash. The casino officials became suspicious. The law said any jackpot over 35 grand needed a thumbs up from state gaming officials. So 2 state troopers marched to Reed's hotel room, and they found Ronald Dale Harris and his pal Reed McNeil. The authorities investigated Reed, and he spilled the beans about Ronald being a tech whiz from the Nevada Gaming Control Board. But here's the twist. Ronald's real gig was testing slot machines all over Nevada. So it was like a fox guarding the henhouse. And he pulled off the greatest heist ever by hacking into Bally's Keno machines RNG. With his computer voodoo, he knew the outcomes. And he shared the big secret with Reed. Reed McNeil got caught red-handed and arrested. Later on, they arrested Ronald too, and he lost his job. No surprise there. But you've got to hand it to him. He gave those Vegas casinos a run for their money, while Ronald made his way with crafty programming skills. The next gambler took the game to a new level with his ingenious exploitation of wheel bias in roulette.
¿Por qué te gusta reventar casinos?
Pues porque ellos son muy enemigos, o sea, si no es solamente la cuestión de ganarle, sino también la cuestión de aceptarle el reto y doblarle la mano.
Number 9. Gonzalo Garcia Pelayo. Garcia Pelayo was the Spanish sensation who made the casino sweat. He started as a record producer, but that gig didn't hit the top of the charts. So he did something he was passionate about. He put all his chips on roulette, and he hit the jackpot with that decision. While people had the idea of wheel bias, nobody had the guts to exploit it in a casino. But Garcia Pelayo was different. He took that risk, and it paid off. Now, before you ask what a wheel bias is, well, it's the belief that not all roulette wheels are random. Each wheel is unique. Certain numbers are sizzling hot, while others are ice cold. All this is because of teeny-tiny imperfections. So what Garcia Pelayo did was hit the Spanish casinos. He turned on his Sherlock mode and observed those wheels. Garcia stared at one for thousands of spins, jotting down the results. Then, he added the numbers on his trusty computer. And get this, he even recruited his 5 kids to help out with the detective work. Once he had that wheel figured out, it was time to make it rain. He bet big on those hot numbers, turning the tables from a 5% house edge to a staggering 15% player's edge. Cha-ching. He soon started feeling the heat from the casinos. So he made a grand exit and hit a new casino to start the party all over again. But Garcia didn't stop there. He took his winning streak to the gambling capital of the world, Las Vegas. And guess what? He kept rolling in the cash, living the high roller life. Naturally, when you're winning big, you're gonna make some enemies. A casino decided to sue Garcia Pelayo, and you won't guess what the Supreme Court of Spain said. They shrugged and said that it was just a matter of him using his brain and some fancy computer techniques. No biggie. In the end, Garcia retired with a fat bank account estimated at a jaw-dropping $1.5 million.
Y bueno, ellos siempre ganan, ¿no?
A mí no.
Menos a ti,
Sí.
pero...
Now Garcia wowed everyone as he cracked roulette wheel biases. But the next gambler on our list mastered an impossible skill. Number 8. Dominic Lorigio. Next up.
As you can see, there's an extra 3/4 of an inch wood where the dice are going to land. So where the dice land, in the back, right here, we have a full 1.5-inch bed. So again, we get the type of bounce that you would find at any casino.
We've got the man with the golden arm and the Dominator, Aka Loreggio. Dominic was a true blackjack and craps legend. He could pull off stunts that most people would call impossible. He spent days and nights perfecting his craft. Through years of practice, he mastered the art of controlled shooting in craps. Now, what's that, you ask? Well, it's like a magic trick with dice, but it's all about physics. Dominic Loreggio would set the dice just right and grab them with ninja-like precision. Then he would toss them, and they'd stay together in the air like they're glued. And boom, they land against the back wall of the craps table. He didn't do this solo though. He teamed up with other dice control fanatics, and he formed the legendary crew called Rosebud. They were the first to hit the Vegas with their crazy dice trick, but Dominic wanted more. For that, he had to give up his crew's conservative betting style. He joined the famous gambler and writer Frank Scoblie. Together, they unleashed their controlled shooting power and hauled in thousands of dollars from various casinos. Now, before you think this is some shady business, hold your horses. Nothing Dominic did was illegal. It was all a skill. But he shook the casino world so hard that they had to step up their game, and they messed with their dice-throwing voodoo. But he had other plans in store. He's now a pro dice-throwing coach, and he is offering classes to those who want to hit the jackpot with lots of practice. Dominic's years of practice in getting hold of dice throwing might have impressed you, but you're in for a surprise as the next gambler's tech savviness is going to blow you away. Number 7, Keith Taft. Now let's dive into the epic tale of Keith, the real-life Inspector Gadget of the casino world. For 3 decades, he put his genius to the test, creating gadgets that had casinos shaking in their boots. Back in the 70s, Keith and his son Marty decided to be card-counting superheroes like Edward Thorpe, the godfather of card counting. Unfortunately, it didn't quite do the trick, so they took it up a notch and used the computer as their weapon. Keith made a massive 15-pound computer named George. He strapped it to his body and controlled it with his toes. But George's weight was a buzzkill. That's when Keith designed David, a sleek and ultra-advanced mini-computer. And David did wonders. With David's help, Keith made a staggering $40,000. But this tech geek didn't stop there. He wanted to share his invention. He started selling his mini-computer for a cool $10,000 each. And guess what? He even taught people how to use it.
Decided to use my toes, so I had 4 switches, one above and below each of the big toes. One switch was a 1, one was a 2, one was a 4, and one was an 8.
Genius, right? Now for the big reveal. Casinos finally caught on to Keith's game and busted him. They found his computer, but they had no clue how it worked. So they had to give him a free pass. But Keith and his son weren't done yet. Next on their list, the Belly Telly, a genius gadget. It was a tiny camera hidden in the belt buckle.
On a high card, assign a value of -1. And every time you see a low card, assign a value of +1.
Sending secret signals about the dealer's cards to an accomplice in a pickup truck outside the casino. It was a high-tech heist. Keith's brain was on fire. And he created more cool tech like Thor, a computer that could predict the cards after a perfect shuffle. Last but not least, Nana, the ultimate sequencing computer. However, the fun lasted only for a while. Nevada had enough of the electronic shenanigans and made it illegal. And they weren't messing around. A hefty 10-year prison sentence if you were caught. But Keith had already hit the jackpot and couldn't care less. Keith earned a spot in the prestigious Blackjack Hall of Fame for all his hustle and mind-blowing computer skills in 2004. Keith's gadgets were indeed remarkable. But let's move on to a gambler who cheated casinos with her gorgeous looks. Number 6, Ida Summers. Meet Ida Summers, the queen of casino cheaters who had casinos trembling in their fancy shoes. Now, Ida was drop-dead gorgeous. With looks that could turn heads, she deceived casinos, thinking she was just a friendly face. But you know, as they say, don't let a pretty face fool you. Ida's tricks were hand-mucking and coolers. She would hide cards up her sleeve, and then whip them at the perfect moment. Smooth, right? Her petite figure was the ultimate camouflage. She'd switch cards like a magician, leaving people scratching their heads, wondering what just happened. Back then, Vegas was no playground. It was a wild and dangerous jungle. But Ida Summers fearlessly flaunted her crafty moves, and the casinos were no match for her tricks. What made her super slick was the fact that no one had ever seen a female cheat before. All good things come to an end, and so did this. It was game over for her as the FBI and gaming officials swooped in, and Ida's winning streak hit a roadblock. The casinos may have caught on to her tricks, but her status as casino maestro lives on. Ida Summers' cunning card tricks may have amazed the casinos, but Tommy's inventive slot machine hacking earned him a spot among the casino legends. Number 5. Tommy Glenn Carmichael. Tommy, the slot machine genius who gave casinos a run for their money. He kicked off his cheating adventure back in the 80s, and his target of choice, slot machines. Tommy Glenn Carmichael was a master inventor. He teamed up with his old pal Ray in Vegas, and they went on a slot machine hacking spree. Tommy's first breakthrough was a metal device that would make those machines a cash cow. But you know what happened? The word got out, and the casinos wasted no time swapping their outdated slots for shiny new models. Way to spoil the fun. Tommy had to take his act to the minor leagues. You wouldn't believe it, but he got caught and sent on a 5-year timeout behind bars. However, that didn't stop him. Once he completed his term, he got back on track. During his timeout, Tommy met Balsamo, and together, they plotted to hit the casinos. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to be possible. The reason? The slot machines had gotten all high-tech. That's when things took a turn. Tommy got his hands on an IGT slot machine and got busy inventing. He made a slider made from guitar strings and steel. With a simple move, coins came pouring out, while the true treasure was safeguarded. Hold up, that's not all. Just when you thought the casinos had outsmarted Tommy, he came back stronger than ever in '91. But they were wrong. He rolled in with a brand new machine, the flashy light wand. Not only did he use it like a boss, but he also sold it to other sharp gamblers. The slot guru had a few close calls. The FBI had their eyes on him in '96 for using the wand. But guess what? Tommy gave them the slip and got away clean. He had a couple more run-ins with trouble. In 2001, he got a 7-year sentence. Plot twist alert. Later on, Tommy had a change of heart. He became the casino security guru, patching up those sneaky loopholes he once exploited, and the cheating days were finally over. But let's give Tommy some credit. He sure gave those casinos a run for their money. Tommy Glenn Carmichael wasn't the only slot machine genius. The next gambler, the coin on our list, was also a mastermind.
That was the whole idea behind it, was to be like a tax collector and collect a little bit from each household, and our household was the casino.
Number 4. Luis Colavecchio. Grab your popcorn, because this one's a bombshell. It is the story of the coin. Aka Luis Colavecchio, the casino con artist who left casinos scratching their heads. This guy was no ordinary coin collector. He created an army of slot machine coins for different casinos, using his steel expertise to make them look authentic. But the casinos knew something fishy when those coins flooded the scene. The chase was on. The Secret Service, the FBI, and every other agency stormed Luis's place back in the 90s. And guess what they found? Thousands of those tricky slot coins are custom-made for casinos in Atlantic and Connecticut. Now Luis was no amateur. He duplicated those coins so perfectly that even Sherlock Holmes would have trouble telling the real deal from the fakes. Luis had a little coin-making workshop with all the fancy tools. He had zinc, copper, nickel, and even lasers to cut coins into perfect round shapes. And for the finishing touch, a stamp and a heavy press, all the way from Italy. Those coins were pure gold. Even the authorities got played, unknowingly using them in a casino he'd already taken for a ride. What a sneaky genius. And the party didn't end there. He brought his A game to Las Vegas. That had everyone talking. The officials had a hunch something was off when Luis walked in with cash, and when they inspected those coins, bam, the whole plot was revealed. Get ready for this shocker. Even after he was caught, the FBI spent more than a week uncovering the forgery spree he had been on. And on top of that, many Las Vegas casinos were too embarrassed to admit they got fooled by mere coins. Can you blame them? But surprise, surprise. After getting busted, Luis had an epiphany moment. He became a casino consultant, schooling them on how to stay one step ahead of the game. Now let's move from the world of coins to the realm of strategic card counting, and welcome the genius MIT Blackjack team.
It was a business for us. We had computer simulation. We modeled everything we did. We kept detailed records. People have this impression that we were just some crazy high rollers, you know, gamblers. We weren't gamblers. We didn't consider ourselves gamblers at all. Very rarely did we, you know, really go out and just let loose when we were working in Vegas, because that's what we were doing. We were working.
Number 3, MIT Blackjack Team. This list wouldn't be complete without the OG casino conquerors, the MIT Blackjack Team. There was so much hype around this group that they got books written about them. And you won't believe this. A whole movie was made in their honor. It all started in the mid-90s as an after-school club at MIT. A bunch of brainiacs got together and used stat-based tricks to beat blackjack and make a boatload of cash. They weren't just a run-of-the-mill gang. This crew was top-notch. To join their ranks, people had to pass hardcore tests, and the secret to their success was card counting. It may be low-key, but when mastered, it's a gold mine. Now, what was their big plan? Well, they built full-on casino setups to practice with a team-based strategy. The idea was simple. Blend in, don't raise suspicions, and make that green rain. Backed by an anonymous cash flow, they invaded Vegas like rock stars on tour. In one mind-blowing weekend, they hauled in $400,000. But as the saying goes, what goes up must come down. The casinos were onto them, and they had to quickly exit to cozier spots. Even in Europe, buzz about their sorcery spread like wildfire. So the original crew called it quits after a few run-ins with the law. But hang on, rookies joined the party. The only issue, casinos were in the loop, thanks to those yearbook photos making the rounds. In the end, they stacked up a mind-blowing $5 million in winnings. And to this day, they're pop culture legends. As the MIT Blackjack Team's chapter closed, the casino world witnessed the rise of Richard Marcus, the gambling mastermind with smooth moves and clever strategies. Number 2, Richard Marcus. Richard Marcus was the ultimate casino cheater. From a young age, he was hustling. He got played with baseball cards by his supposed friends, and in a snap, his entire collection was wiped out. But that didn't stop him. Richard's passion for gambling only grew. So he hit the Vegas Strip and was ready to roll those dice to hit big. He couldn't legally gamble yet, so Richard found a job at a casino dealing with baccarat and blackjack. But things got saucy when he joined Klassen, a gambling ace looking for the perfect plan. They schemed, shuffled like pros, and kapow, a spectacular $21,000 haul. That success got him in with Klassen's crew of pros. They trained him in all the tricks of the trade: baccarat, blackjack, roulette, and craps. And it gets crazier. Richard had an epic movie called The Savannah. He'd stack some small chips on a big one, acting all excited when he won. The dealer was clueless, thinking it was just luck. Little did they know, a clever $500 chip was camouflaged in the pile. When he hit the jackpot, he would ninja-style add chips. But if things went the other way, he would smoothly disappear the chips. Richard was making millions with his smooth moves, and he tossed around $5,000 chips like confetti. But inevitably, all good things fizzle out. The casinos uncovered his scheme, and he had to face the consequences. Hang on, it's not over yet. Richard Marcus still sells gambling books and claims he's still pulling tricks in a way no law enforcement can catch. Richard Marcus's smooth moves were the talk of the town. But the next gambler landed the first spot on the list for his sheer mathematical brilliance. Number 1, Edward Thorpe. Say hello to Edward Thorpe, the OG card counter and math wizard. He was a real brainiac, and he flaunted not 1, but 2 degrees in physics and maths. But believe it or not, Edward was a total newbie to the casino scene. It wasn't until his colleague dragged him and his wife to Vegas that he got interested in blackjack, and that spark led to some serious brain work. He used a huge computer to simulate a gazillion blackjack hands. He was on a mission. Edward was calculating, observing, and brewing up his genius system. And what was this magic system? Counting cards like a pro. Edward cracked the code. He realized that smaller cards played into the dealer's hands, while larger cards were players' golden tickets. With this revelation, he unveiled an astonishing 1% to 5% edge for the players. With his partner in crime, Shannon, they hit the casinos and came back with pockets overflowing with cash. We're talking a jaw-dropping $70,000 in just one weekend. Casinos were baffled. They had no clue how Edward clean-sweeped them. He was a secret agent, pulling off his card-counting mission without a hitch. Wait, it gets better. He shared his secret and wrote a book called Beat the Dealer. That thing blew up like a jackpot. and the casinos weren't too thrilled about it. But did Edward care? No. He took his newfound fortune and moved on to the stock market. And he crushed it there too. Thanks to his groundbreaking card counting, he got the VIP treatment. And Edward was added to the Blackjack Hall of Fame. A true math whiz. These casino maestros proved that with intelligence and skill you can get big wins. However, the road to riches is rocky, and if you're not careful, you may experience downfall. If you're interested in stories of how financial challenges can lead to bankruptcy, then don't miss out our video, Dumbest Ways Rock Stars Went Broke. Click the video on your screen now and witness how fortune can take an unexpected turn.